New patients are the thing that is going to make or break you. And I remember growing my business, I used to obsess over how many new patients were coming to my practice. I used to hover over the fax machine and count how many new referrals I was getting every single day. And I remember having a lot of insecurity around that, a lot of fear, because I knew that if the new patient pipeline were to dry up, that I wouldn't be able to last very long. And so I ended up obsessing over trying to encourage people that didn't already know and trust me to look at my stuff, follow my stuff, and then give me a shot or an opportunity to treat them inside the clinic. And that was draining. That was exhausting. And it became a chase that never quite got caught, right? It became an itch that never quite got scratched. And then everything changed when I hired my first business coach. And instead of focusing or obsessing over acquiring new patients who don't know and trust me, I started focusing on what I had, the current and past patient list, the huge asset of patients who already knew me, who already would be willing to come back into the clinic or refer friends or family to my practice. And so in this video, what I want to share with you are some tips and strategies where you can focus on retention and internal referrals and how you can build a thriving practice with your current assets. So stay tuned. Welcome to the episode of Adam Knows Everything. Really, this episode is Adam knows a little bit and he's learning a whole lot along the way. And I'm very much on this journey with you. And I just come on here and share everything that I can and hopefully add some value. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Adam. I'm a physical therapist slash entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur. I run three businesses. So I have my practices. I have three clinics. We have about 40, 45 people on our team. And we're building some really awesome leaders in that organization this year. So we're really excited setting up for a bigger expansion going into next year. And that's my baby. That's the thing that I poured everything into. Also own an online coaching company where we help empower practice owners to help them grow and scale and find more freedom and fulfillment in their life through their business. And then I own a virtual assistant agency where we help place talented, skilled virtual assistants in your business who know healthcare and who know how to align with your culture. And the primary goal there is to help you delegate the low leverage energy drainers that aren't really moving the needle for you so that you can focus on the big work. And so today, what I want to talk about is a little bit about marketing and a little bit about business development, some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. And we'll start with a little story. Some of the stuff you probably already know, but some of it you might not. And we'll talk about some lessons that I learned along the way, and hopefully you walk away with some value. In the meantime, I'd love for you to get involved in the comment section. I want you to comment, ask questions. I'm keeping my eye on the comments. Ask me some questions. If you guys, maybe you can challenge me a little bit. Maybe I'm looking at things wrong. I'd love to learn from you too. All right. So today we're talking about business development. How do we grow our business? How do we grow our practice? In the beginning, when I started my business, what I learned at a very early age was how to work hard. I knew how to wake up early and work as hard as I possibly could until the sun went down. I learned that early. And that is a requirement, in my opinion, in order to achieve some success, whether that's in business or anything else. But it only gets you so far. Hard work is not enough. And when I started my business, I remember being in the beginning, like the hardest thing to do is to figure out how to get patients in the door, figure out how to drive new eyeballs and new feet through that front door so that you can build a relationship with them and serve them at the highest level. That's like the big scary monster that you have to beat. And I remember obsessing over trying to figure out how to attract people to my business. Market, I was on Facebook. I was posting a lot on Facebook. I was marketing a lot to physicians, handing out flyers and postcards, and just trying to build word of mouth. And I remember being really fearful every day looking at the fax machine because that referrals come over that fax machine. And I would walk up to the front and be like, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, like, how many faxes did we get today? How many referrals did we get today?" And if she gave me a number that excited me, then it was a good day, right? If you gave me a number that was a little low, then it was a bad day, right? It was a scary day. And so I obsessed over the new patient referrals that were coming in. And I did that for a long time, but thinking that eventually, like, I was going to have so many new patients, like if I just kept on working on that pipeline, getting more referrals that came into practice, that eventually I would not have to focus on that anymore. But that never happened. It was an itch that never got scratched. I just kept on having to get more new patients and more new patients. And then I had to work harder and work harder. And that was not a fun time. So it wasn't until later in my career, I guess about a year and a half or 2 years into private practice, I hired my first business coach. And he taught me, he's like, you know what? I don't think you need to focus on marketing so much. I think you have enough. You have enough new patients coming in the door. Instead, Adam, what I'd like to invite you to do is focus on the current patients that you have. Focus on the current patients that are coming in and getting the most out of them. Because if you do that, you're going to save energy, you're going to make more money, you're going to provide a better experience for your patients. Your business is going to win. The cool part is once all those things kind of line up, you actually start getting more referrals from it. So it's easier, cheaper, funner, better for your business. Let's give that a shot. And so I was like, cool, where do I start? And so this is what he told me. I'm going to share that with you today. All right. Get your pens and paper. If you are a practice owner and you're doing somewhere between, let's say you're in network and you're doing somewhere between 250 to $450,000 a year. So that's going to be like 20,000 a month, 20 to 30,000 a month, roughly. That's just enough for you to break even and like maybe take home a paycheck. This is for you. This is going to help you. I promise. Okay. So where does it start? Write this down. Number one, it starts at the front desk. Everything kind of filters through the front desk, right? Think about it. The referral comes in. Guess who's the first person to see it? Your front desk. The patient, the first person that your patient speaks to is what? The front desk person on the initial phone call. The first person that they meet when they walk in the front door is your front desk person. So it all starts with your front desk. Okay. Your front desk is a really powerful place where you can make a lot of money or you can save a lot of money if you're doing that job really well. All right. And specifically, the thing that really helped me around the front desk was getting clear on exactly what their main priorities were. What is the number one main priority of the front desk? And here's what we came up with. It is to fill the schedule, keep the schedule full, and to collect every dollar over the counter. So how do you fill the schedule? Number one, you make sure every single eval is scheduled early and often. You schedule out full plans of care. So every time the plan of care is prescribed, you schedule it out completely. Every time there's a cancel, you are working to fill that cancellation, that spot, quickly and efficiently. Whether that's moving up a new patient, whether that's rescheduling someone, whether that's putting an eval in that spot, you are working that schedule and keeping it consistently full. Because when that schedule is consistently full, guess what? You can provide consistent quality to your patients and you get paid, right? So the money flows that way too. All right. Some ideas to make sure that your cancellation rates are healthy is to have a cancellation and no-show policy in place. Obviously, we want to add value, we want to control the experience, and we want to make sure that your patients feel heard and seen and the expectations are managed, comma, have a cancellation policy to let them know you're serious. Like, Mrs. Smith, we'd love to do business with you. We're going to serve you more than you've ever been served, comma, we expect you to show up for your appointments. And if you can't do that, unfortunately, we're going to have a cancellation fee in place. Okay. So have a cancellation and no-show policy in place. Really important. Number two, ensure that you're creating a strong agreement during the initial evaluation. I teach sales often to practice owners and my team. And we think we're good at it, but we're not. We're completely terrible at sales. And you'd be amazed if you actually sat in the initial evaluations that your team is having, or even yours. And you'd be amazed at how we are walking out of that initial evaluation without a strong agreement with your patient. So, what does that agreement look like? It looks like this. Number one, you clearly articulate the plan of care to the patient, meaning, this is what I recommend, this is why I recommend it. And you ask for understanding. Do you understand that, Mrs. Smith? Does that make sense to you? Is there any part of this that is not clear for you? No, that makes total sense. Great. Do you agree with this plan of care? Do you agree with this? Is this something that you feel like you can commit to? Is this something, based on what you've learned today and based on the goals that you've set, do you feel like this is something that's worth you investing your time and energy towards? Yes, I do agree. Great. So your plan of care is going to be 2 times a week for 4 weeks, a total of 8 visits. And what I would need from you, Mrs. Smith, I would need you to come to all 8 of those appointments in order to get you where you want to go. So that means you're going to schedule your appointments, you're going to show up on time, every time, ready to get the care that you need. Is there any reason, before you leave today, is there any reason why you don't feel like you'll be able to commit to that? Or is there anything coming up over the next 4 weeks that's really going to impact your ability to be here and to commit to that? So you're getting a strong agreement on the initial evaluation. You have to do that as a provider, and you have to train your team on how to do that as well. Okay. A lot of times we prescribe that plan of care. Yeah, it's 2 times a week for 4 weeks. Okay, great. All right, follow me. Let's get your visit scheduled. And we don't drive home the commitment and the agreement before we leave. Really important. All right. The other thing is, when you're prescribing plans of care, make sure you're prescribing at an appropriate frequency. Typically, high frequency plans of care result in quicker outcomes and more committed patients. Patients who are more committed tend to come more often. Teams that are more committed tend to prescribe higher frequency plans of care. All right. So don't be soft with your plans of care because it's inconvenient or it's weird or anything like that. You're there to change that person's life, right? If they have low back pain that's been impacting they're there because they need help. In order to get them help, you need to see them at least 2 to 3 times a week if you're a PT. Minimum, right? So make sure you're scheduling at an elevated frequency to ensure that you're going to get your patients well. And here's the cool thing. If you have an elevated frequency in your prescriptions, you're going to see more visits. So if you have 100 patients on caseload and your average frequency of prescribed plan of care is 1, you're going to have 100 visits a week. If you bring it to 2, you have 200 visits a week, 2.5, 250 visits a week. So you can massively increase the total patient volume just based on the prescriptions that you're delivering. All right. Now, we don't want to deliver, obviously, you're not going to deliver high frequencies just for the sake of getting paid. You're going to make sure it's justified, but I typically don't see that in practices. I typically see prescriptions that are low because clinicians aren't bought into the idea that they can really help people with higher frequencies. All right. So make sure that you're prescribing frequencies appropriately and you're treating patients through their full plan of care. All right. The drop off rate is atrocious in the rehab space. Usually patients are going to drop off around that 6th visit, right? We want to ensure that we're treating, if you're a physical therapist or an OT or an orthopedic setting, we want to get to that 12th or 14th visit every time because we know that's where people get the most immediate and long-lasting results. So if your frequency's there and your duration of plan is there, you're going to keep your schedule maximally full. All right. And that's going to be all handled at your front desk in your sales process during your initial evaluation. And then lastly, make sure that you have your systems in place that you're promoting compliance with your patients. So we're going to email them reminders. We're going to text them reminders. We're going to print off the schedule after the appointment. We're going to give it to them, make sure they have it on their refrigerator at home. right? Make sense? So it's going to start with retention. That's the retention game. Front desk, strong sales scripts, strong enrollment process, strong cancellation and no show policy, a team that knows how to sell at a high level, high frequency and duration plans of care that get patients better and keep them on the schedule. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. And so we want to build a team that's really focused on helping that patient feel like they're the most important person in the room and bought in to the care that we're providing so that we can help them. That's how we drive compliance. All right. So going back to the fax machine, I used to think that acquiring another new patient is the way to go. I used to think that. And there's some truth to that, but there's this way bigger piece that I was missing. I spent my time doing was like going out and marketing to physicians and begging them for referrals. Hey, Mrs. Smith, Dr. Smith, please send me a referral. I'd love to send me a referral. And some of that is important, but it also can become, you can become a little bit needy and dependent upon that. Like you're better than that. Hey, practice owner, if you enjoyed this video, if you got some value, it would be cool if you could just hit the subscribe button. I'd love to connect with more practice owners. And when you subscribe, it helps me get this message out to other people who could benefit. I remember being a practice owner early in the days, like on an island alone, and I would have craved and like really valued a channel this to just help me along my journey. So hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. And if you want more information and specific guidance on how we help practice owners grow their business, check out the show notes. I put together a free manual for you. It's called our CEO Accelerator Manual. 100% free. I'm not going to ask you for anything except for your name, your phone number, and your email. But it's going to walk through our entire CEO Accelerator framework, how we help our paid clients, and it comes with some cool YouTube videos attached to it along as training. So I'm confident that if you consume some of that information, you're going to like knock it out of the park. So I'll see you on the next one. You don't only have to just market to physicians. There are other ways to grow your business. And the mistake that I made was I tried to focus on marketing to physicians and building transactional relationships. Like, hey, give me a referral, doc, right? Versus building deeper, more impactful relationships with the patients that I already had. Ones in which enrolled them into really strong plans of care and invited them to refer their friends and family members to me. Invited them, incentivized them, promoted like, hey, Mrs. Smith, thanks for coming here. Like, I would love for you to refer a friend or family member to me. They already like you. They already know you. They already trust you. You've already helped them. They've already left you a 5-star review on Google. Like they would love to help you grow your business. All you gotta do is ask them. All we have to do is build that into the system, right? All right, so your past patient list. When patients discharge off your schedule, all right, they complete their full plan of care, they discharge. You give them this home exercise program, and then they're going to do that home exercise program for the rest of their life, and they're never going to need you again. Right? Probably not, right? Usually what happens is what? They discharge from care, they're feeling really good, their shoulders feeling really good, and then maybe they do their home exercise program for a couple of weeks, and then they start forgetting and life gets busy. Right? And 2 months later, they're not doing their home exercises anymore. And then 3 months later, they completely forgot. And then around that 90-day mark, their shoulder starts to hurt a little bit. It starts to get a little stiff. They start complaining to their friends around about it. And you know what else? Their other friend at church comes up to them and says, hey, my shoulder's hurting too. And then if you're a great PT or OT or clinician, that would be a great opportunity for you to pick up that phone and call that patient and say, hey, just checking in. How's that shoulder doing? And it's Adam, it's funny that you called because just the other day I was talking to Mrs. Smith at church about how my shoulder's starting to bug me again. Really? Tell me more about that. Yeah, remember when I told you that it used to pop when I reached overhead? It's doing that again. And that's the same thing Mrs. Smith had. Listen, I'd love to have you come in for a screen just to see if we could even help with that. And then I'd love to get in touch with Mrs. Smith too. Like, how can we help Mrs. Smith? What would you recommend? 2 referrals sitting right there. Phone call. And it doesn't even have to be you to make that call, right? Your past patient list is super important. What I'd love for you to do is build a rhythm of calling your past patients. Call your past patient list every 90 days. This is especially if you're trying to build a new practice. Call your past patients. Call them every 90 days. So once a quarter, every single patient in your list should get a phone call from you. At least one phone call from you. And the script goes something like this. Hey, Mrs. Smith, how are you? I'm calling to check in. How's your shoulder been? How's the friends and family members? And then here's the line. It's good to hear that things are going well. Do you feel like your shoulder is still at 100%? And the truth is, most things aren't at 100%. But what you want to do is inquire, is there a reason why we might be able to help? And usually what they'll say is, I wouldn't say 100, I'd say probably about 80. You say, okay, great. What makes you say it's 80? It does, remember, it does pop when I elevate, right? So now we get to have them talk about the pain. And we can dig into that pain just to explore if there's ways we might be able to help. Okay, so give them a call. Make sure that you have some type of text and email nurture sequence that you can insert that list into. Just check in, be like, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything that we can do to help you? So calling your past patient list is huge. If you have 30 patients on your past patient list, you can easily reactivate 5 or 6 of them. And you can get through 30 phone calls in 2 days. 2 days, easy. So there's a lot of referrals sitting in that past patient list. All right. So here's another trick, which brings me to the next trick. What if I told you that you could print referrals from thin air? How cool would that be? What if I told you you could be like a magician? You could be like, abracadabra, I need a referral. And you could just have one. How cool would that be? You can. And you don't even have to do any extra work for it. Super cool. So you don't have to hope and pray for referrals anymore. You don't have to go and beg physicians for referrals anymore. But you just have to ask your current patients for referrals. Ask them to refer their friends, their family members, and their colleagues to you. All right? All right. So there are 4 primary ways for you to drive referrals internally into your practice. Are these the only ways? Probably not, but these are the ways that I thought about when I was writing this. Okay. All right. They're literally on my book. Got them written down. All right. Number 1, these 4 ways are going to be built around some type of sales process, right? This is why sales is so important. Sales is really just the process of using your communication to speak with a patient, find a problem. You're a problem finder. You're looking for a problem, and you're going to ask some deeper questioning to inquire if the solution that you have could potentially be a solution to their problem. And if so, you can create a vision for that patient on how your solution or your offer could potentially be a good fit for them. And then you offer to help. So it's something like, hey, Mrs. Smith, how are you doing today? I'm not doing that great. Tell me more about that. Well, I'm having back pain. When you say back pain, how is that affecting you? It's affecting me in XYZ way. Like, I'm a physical therapist and I'm not sure if it's appropriate, but I might be able to help with that. Would you be interested? Yeah. So what that would look like is you would come in for an initial evaluation just to see if we could even help. Would that be appropriate? Yeah, great. That's a sales process. You just enrolled that person into an initial evaluation. Okay. So there's some language that you would use to sell that plan of care. Okay. Here's the first way that you can find extra evals in your practice. Number 1, screening for additional issues or ailments on your current patients. Okay. Just because if you're a physical therapist, Just because your patient comes in with knee pain doesn't mean they don't also have shoulder pain, doesn't also have back pain or ankle pain or left shoulder pain, right? We call it the other body parts and conditions process. And so one of our favorite questions to ask patients who come in for, let's say, low back pain, it's something like, hey, thank you for the time today. And John, besides your low back pain, what else is really bothering you today? And you just let them tell you. And usually they'll say, I got some really bad headaches. Oh, really? Tell me about that. I got a lot of tightness in my neck. How long has that been going on? Boom. That's another plan of care, right? So besides blank, what else are you dealing with right now? Write that down. Use that as a script. So, Mrs. Smith, besides blank, what else are you dealing with? Find that problem and enroll them into the plan of care. And what you could do is something like, okay, great. We're going to treat you 2 times a week for 4 weeks for your low back. And then after that 4-week mark, what I'd like to do is maybe do a quick screen on that neck to see if we can even help with that. Would that work for you? And then you can enroll them into a new plan of care, right? So other body parts and conditions. Number 2, this is the second way you can drive referrals. Ask them for referrals. Usually what I like to do is I time it right around that 6 to 8 visit mark, because that's usually right around 2 to 3 weeks. That's usually when patients start to experience a noticeable difference in their function. The 2-week mark, like they can feel and notice an improvement in their condition, either decreased pain or improved mobility, etc. They get around a little bit better, right? I time it right around there. So whatever your patient population demands, if you're a mental health practitioner, maybe that's a 30 or 60-day mark. If you're a physician, maybe that's a 30 or 60 day. If you're a speech therapist, maybe that's 2 or 3 week mark. I'm not really sure. But what you want to identify is, where's that point where we should have some pretty good indications if this is working. For us, it's around that 2-week mark. And what we implement is what's called a quality assurance process, where we sit down, we do a quick survey of that patient. We have a little form that they fill out. It's called our quality assurance form. They fill it out before their visit. And it's like, how are you doing? Question number 2 is something like, what % improvement have you made since you've been with us? From 0 to 10, how happy are you with the services that you've had so far? And then the last question is, who do you have in your network that would benefit from a similar service? And they fill it out. And when Mrs. Smith comes back, we go up to the waiting room and we get Mrs. Smith. We're like, hey, Mrs. Smith, welcome. Hey, welcome to the show. Come on back. Go ahead and bring that piece of paper with you. And then we sit. Mrs. Smith gives me the paper and I say, all right, Mrs. Smith, let's review your paper. So it looks like XYZ. It looks like you've had a 10 out of 10 experience. That's fantastic. What's been your favorite part about your experience with us? Oh, really great. And I see right here, you mentioned nobody that would benefit. My purpose here is to help as many people as I possibly can. And somebody like you could really help with that. And we all know at least 1 or 2 people with some back pain, right? So who do you know in your network that could maybe benefit from something like this? Who comes to mind? Just ask them. And they'll tell you. My friend Seth the other day was actually telling me all about how bad his quad works. Really? What did he say? XYZ. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I could help, but I'd love to try. What would be the best way to get in touch with him? And usually at that point, it's usually something like, I'll give him your card or we'll follow up. And then I go up to that front desk person and I say, hey, Mrs. Smith just referred a person named Seth. Would you make sure we follow up with Mrs. Smith on our next appointment to inquire about Seth? Okay, great. And then we follow up and we try to get Seth in the clinic to do a quick screen to see if we can even help them. That makes sense? Do that. We probably do at least 5 referrals a week doing that. Just doing that process. Minimum 5 referrals a week. There's a lot of people out there in pain. There's a lot of people out there that need your help. They just need you to ask them. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is to ask for the recommendation. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that somebody referred that patient to you, either a friend, a family member. Sometimes it's a physician or a surgeon or another healthcare provider, some type of referral partner who sends you consistent referrals. And that person usually will follow up with that referral source either for an appointment, or maybe they're a colleague or something like that. And during that quality assurance process, or maybe along that process, all we do is say something like, so when do you follow up with Dr. Smith? We follow up with him in 2 weeks. And then we'll say something like, I might sometimes give them a card, like a business card with my name on it, my name and phone number. And it'll be like, hey, would you let him know? I'd love to see him on the golf course one day. And I'll give that patient my phone number, my name. Would you mind giving them this? And then we really depend on Dr. Smith's opinion of us because we really need his business. If there's any positive review or testimonial that you'd be willing to give Dr. Smith, I would really appreciate that. So now Dr. Smith is getting his patients that come back to him with positive testimonials about us and my card with my phone number. So I'm building rapport with those referral partners through my patients who already know, like, and trust me, and who are willing to help. Okay. So you ask for the recommendation. Number 4, last one, sell the add-on. Sell the add-on. Here's my opinion. If you are 100% relying on insurance in your business, you are probably not going to last forever. Like, you're going to have to start learning how to incorporate some cash pay services in your practice. And maybe not in the beginning, because really it's just about, hey, let's just get your systems built. But once you have some systems in place, you want to build some cash pay services. And we want to sell the add-on. So have the add-on, whether that's shockwave, laser, traction, massage, wellness, or fitness packages. But during that initial evaluation, make sure that you have some type of enrollment process where you can enroll patients into higher paying services that can help them get closer to their goals quicker and help them get back to the quality of life that they want. So that's how you focus on retention, reactivations, and internal referrals. If you do that, you provide a world-class patient experience with operational excellence, and you strategically and intentionally ask for the internal testimonial and referral, you'll build a crazy awesome business. And even cooler, you'll keep the schedule full and you'll collect all the money over the counter that's owed to you. Profitability will rise and overall culture and patient experience will improve as well. Hope it helps. Go kick some ass this week. Have a great day. Talk soon.